Hello my friends, and welcome to the bonus special all about Christmas. Now I was going to call this your first sober Christmas survival guide, and then I thought I don't want this to be about survival. Obviously I want you to survive Christmas, but I want you to survive Christmas and thrive through Christmas. So I've renamed it Discover Your First Sober Christmas, to encourage you to approach Christmas in the same way that we've approached the whole of this program, with open eyes, an open mind, and a sense of curiosity, because we don't know what it's going to be like until we actually approach any situation in life. And this is exactly the same. So all we've had up until now are Christmases where we've drunk. And so the thought of a Christmas without it is just completely shocking in all likelihood. And it might well leave you feeling a little unnerved, a bit worried, maybe despondent, maybe even dreading the whole season that's coming upon us. Now, whether or not you like Christmas or not, that's not what we're debating here. We're talking about helping you to discover Christmas without alcohol. So I'm going to cover a number of different things here in this workshop, and there's also a workbook to help you through as well. So what I would like to do is to first help you to establish some ground rules for Christmas. If you really want this to be a sober Christmas for you, then some ground rules are going to be pretty important. So I know at the beginning of the Discover Sober program, I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. And this workshop isn't about that. But what it is about is me saying, if you want a sober Christmas, if in your absolute heart, that's what you really would like to have happen, and if you would like to travel through the Christmas season calmly and feeling good about yourself and feeling positive about this whole experience, then I recommend to you that you establish some ground rules. And the first one is just to decide not to drink. And the reason I say that may be obvious, but there is nothing worse than indecision. It's actually a very stressful place to be. If you think back to the main body of the program, when we're talking about the dissonance, the disagreement that occurs in our minds between our subconscious mind and our conscious mind about the argument of wanting a drink and not having a drink. Well, it's the same about any kind of indecision. So if you just make a decision right up front, right now, you've got plenty of time to not drink at all, then you're going to be in a much, much stronger position to navigate this season and navigate it well. Because this is probably the most challenging time of year, particularly at the early stages of a sober journey. And the reason I say that is because the odd party here and there dotted throughout the year is one thing, but in all likelihood you've probably got more parties coming up in the next few weeks than you've had in the last 6 months. So there are many occasions, but also what a fantastic opportunity to really nail this, because this time of year, because there's so many occasions, there are also multiple opportunities for you to try this stuff out. So you can almost think of it as a little safe little place where you're getting yourself sorted, you're getting yourself together and organised to attack this, if you like, and to go at it from a position of strength. So you've got plenty of opportunities to experiment and discover and work out what's best for you, because this is all about you and really firmly entrenching yourself in that mindset. This is about you. So say that out loud. This is about me. So a decision not to drink. I'm making it non-negotiable. That's it. No matter what, this is what I've decided. And now what I'm going to do, much like the very fact that Christmas Day will happen, no matter what we're going to do about it, no matter how we decide we just don't want to face all the stress or whatever it is, it will happen, like birthdays come around. So let's just decide that we're going to navigate it and we're going to figure out the rest as we go through. Okay? So to help you make that decision and make it from a point of confidence, I invite you to remind yourself of all the reasons not to drink, all the reasons that brought you here to this program in the first place, because they all still exist. And the fact that it's silly season, the fact that we're eating loads of food, and we're surrounded by family members, and we're invited to parties and social events left, right and centre, and we wear hats and big dangly crazy earrings and whatever it is that you do at Christmas. The fact of that does not change any of the reasons that brought us here in the first place. The day-to-day misery that alcohol causes in our lives hasn't changed. In fact, as we begin to explore this module and this workshop, we'll see that actually the stakes are much higher around this time of year. So I encourage you to approach this season by focusing on what you're actually looking forward to. What is it that you like about it? And again, we may be some more cynical about Christmas. I know I am these days. But nevertheless, for many people and for you, and also for me, it's a time of year where there are good things happening. We may need to pick and choose those a little bit more without alcohol in our lives. So that's the ground rules and that's the grounding. So I encourage you to make that pledge. This is going to be my first sober Christmas. It's actually going to be my fourth sober Christmas. And I'm going to tell you some things about how I experienced my first Christmas as we're going through, to help you, because there's two sides of it. One is the whole concept of just not wanting any alcohol, and then there is also navigating a season where everybody else is still drinking. So there's two aspects to it, and they both have their challenges. Mindset with everything in life is so phenomenally important. And so getting yourself in the right mindset about an alcohol-free Christmas. But maybe we can also make Christmas great by being in a different and more positive mindset anyway. So be positive. Think about all the good things. Think about all the things that you're grateful for in your life and that Christmas embodies. Pick out those things that matter to you and just give less attention to those things that don't. So you absolutely have this. Okay, you've got it. You've got all the resources internally in your mind and in yourself that you need, with a bit of help and support from me, to navigate this. So I encourage you to see people who are drinking alcohol, see drinkers, see drinking itself, and see yourself in a different light this Christmas. Because the fact of the matter is that we've been conditioned by society to equate Christmas and alcohol and Christmas as two inseparable things. But really, really think about it. Why is that? Why are those two things blended in our minds? A lot of it is just like alcohol has been ingrained in our minds since we were children. It's the same and it's different. So let's explore that a little bit. We say on the programme that all throughout our lives we've been bombarded with alcohol being related to fun and enjoyment, and Christmas is a time of fun and enjoyment. So it's only natural that linkage would be made. And let's be honest, the advertising industry, the drinks industry, is in their element at this time of year. They want us to throw it down our necks. They want us to equate the two. Everywhere we look, there's that massive, massive link between alcohol and this time of year. And that's no accident, clearly. The advertising industry and the drinks industry are fully aware of the trillions of pounds that they're making at this time of year, because they've very, very successfully been able to equal alcohol and Christmas. And I think it's time we actually blow that myth absolutely apart. There was a time when that wasn't the case. But just like alcohol has infiltrated our society in all kinds of ways, obviously it's going to infiltrate Christmas as well. And, so Christmas can't be fun without alcohol? Are we really saying that Christmas can't be fun without a mind-altering, personality-changing, toxic poison being thrown down our necks? Are we really, really saying that to ourselves? Because I urge you to sit back for a minute and actually think about that and really challenge it. Because we are saying, if that's what we are saying, that Christmas or an event without taking drugs is a non-event in the first place. And if that is legitimately the case, I think we are in an incredibly sad position. I also know that is not where we are at. Just because that connection's been made doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it stands up, and doesn't mean that there isn't a much, much better way of living without that. And that's what we're looking at. So what do we now know about alcohol? Having been through a certain proportion of this program, you could be joining this module anywhere. If you've just joined the program, you might be looking at it right at the beginning. Hopefully you've done a good few days, and so you've picked up and understand a lot more about alcohol now than you did when you entered the program. And so what do we now know about alcohol and what it does to our general disposition? Nice cuppa there. Well, we now know that alcohol causes stress. Number one. We know that alcohol raises the level of stress because of the stress hormones that it inadvertently injects directly into our system. We know that alcohol makes us more anxious. It also brings us down in all kinds of ways. It limits our sleep. So we're tired. It runs us down physically. So we're just less able to cope with anything. Now, we also know that Christmas is generally a bit of a stressful time of year for all kinds of reasons. It could be stressful for you because it's a financially burdensome time of year. It could be stressful because you have a loved one who's ill. Certainly in my case this Christmas. Or it could be that you've recently lost somebody, and all of that is going to cause massive stress and anxiety. It could just be the whole family thing, the commitment of having family members around. It could be that you've got stepchildren, or you might not be seeing your own children, or all kinds of reasons why Christmas isn't always the fairy tale occasion and time of year that it's portrayed once again on, in the media, on advertising. Life just isn't that fairy tale kind of thing. So let's be realistic about that. So why would we want to add to the stress of the occasion and all of the other things that embodies by taking a drug that increases our level of stress, increases our level of anxiety, makes us lethargic, miserable, on edge, and generally unable to cope? It doesn't make sense that we would want to do that to ourselves. And so let's explore that a little bit more. And let's look at how somebody who is a drinker actually copes with stress over Christmas, and how alcohol helps, in inverted commas, a drinker deal with their stress. Because if that's what we were saying, and a lot of this is really about challenging, and so if I sound a bit cynical here, that's a good thing. So get cynical with me. Let's really look at this in a different way. So imagine that I'm a drinker and I'm drinking throughout Christmas because I believe it helps me with my stress. Okay, so I'm already on edge. I'm already somewhat anxious. And I'm already more stressed than I would be because I had a drink last night or 2 days ago or even this morning, whenever that might be. So as a drinker, I'm already more stressed, more anxious than I would be if I didn't drink at all. And so if you watch a drinker then get their hands on an alcoholic drink, you watch them relax. Now, as an outsider looking in, you could be forgiven for thinking that that drink is actually really, really relaxing them beyond the point where somebody who doesn't drink or isn't drinking at the moment is already feeling. But we would be wrong in thinking that, because all that relaxation we're watching is doing is just relieving the symptoms of elevated stress, elevated anxiety and exhaustion that the last drink caused in their system. And so it's a false thing we're observing. We're not seeing them in any great state of wonderful relaxation. What we're seeing is that they've just taken off a really, really, really tight pair of shoes that they've been focusing all their attention on all day. That is not true relaxation. And throwing off those shoes isn't true, it's not fun. So watch them relax when they get that drink in their hand. And they start to relax even before they've consumed the drink, because their psychology is thinking, oh, thank goodness for that. It's coming my way. It's not real relaxation. It just isn't. And so what happens then is once the drinker has that first drink, and this could be at a party, this could be on Christmas Eve at lunchtime, it could be on Christmas Day, a champagne in the morning. After that first drink, alcohol starts to withdraw, and a number of different things are going on here. After that first drink, a general niggling feeling starts to settle in as the alcohol withdraws from the system, and that drinker will want another drink. So the drinker starts to get fidgety and a bit angsty. Not only that, what we don't see, and I urge you to think about when you're watching people drinking, because you're not going to be one of them. Think about what's going on internally, because in response to the alcohol starting to shut down and depress all of the bodily functions, in response to that, your body is flooding the body, not your body, their bodies are flooding themselves with stress and anxiety related hormones. The heart is starting to pump faster to try and combat the sluggishness that alcohol is causing in the system. And so the body that you're observing, when you're looking at a drinker, you're seeing a body in stress response in relation to the alcohol that they're consuming. It's not a good place for them to be. It's not healthy and it's not helpful. And so that drinker is drinking alcohol to try to feel normal. And if you haven't drunk for a few days, if you've been through that very minor time when alcohol is removing itself from your system, 7 to 10 days, a non-drinker feels that level of normality in a way that somebody drinking just can't. Now, if you're experiencing, again, you're looking at a drinker and you see that relaxation, you also might feel them, hey! Part of that is because they just aren't suffering that niggling irritability anymore. That in itself brings on a kind of false high. But in addition to that, a certain level of dopamine will be floating around their system. Now that only lasts a maximum of 20 minutes of life until it starts to withdraw. And once it starts to withdraw, it's a continuous withdrawal process. So if somebody at a party is drinking another and another and another, that level of withdrawal is just building. So the second drink won't relieve the anxiety and the stress feeling that the first drink is withdrawing, because it's still withdrawing and it's topped up and it's withdrawing. And at the same time, that person's brain is shutting down. And we all know, my friend, where that leads us. So don't be fooled. What you're seeing is not what's actually happening. So fresh eyes on this situation, fresh eyes. So I encourage you to observe around you, walk in confident to whatever social situation it is. I'm going to come on to in a minute to how you can prepare for this, but really be honest, brutally honest with what is going on here. And step back. You are not alone. Step back and watch society around you getting drugged and taking drugs, and look at it with a fresh pair of eyes. You and I are the people who are free of this. And let's celebrate that. Okay, let's be the wise. Let's be the people who've got insight here. Let's do that for ourselves, because other people will notice and they will be envious over time. You don't want people to walk around being envious, but mark my words, and I'll come on in a minute to talking about the people who might want to combat our efforts and attempts and rubbish what we're doing, because people are like that. So let's talk about the belief that a drinker is having more fun than us as a non-drinker. Because this will be where your biggest battles, probably, if you're struggling about feeling like you're missing out, it will be coming from this angle. So let's really challenge that. A drinker is having more fun. And I ask the question, based on what we've just talked about, fun or relief? If your head is in a noose and it's released, you will be smiling as well. So let's talk about the whole of this concept of the fun of being drugged with alcohol, a highly toxic, poisonous drug. After a couple of drinks, we're fighting to get up to a feeling of feeling normal as we're slowly shutting down. And that shutting down also comes at a price, because at this point, we stop being authentic and we stop being our true selves. And I don't know about you, but that's cost me dearly. And it's cost me highly in my life. The party animal in me that came out when I was drinking talked a load of absolute rubbish. I got loud, I got obnoxious, and I couldn't see from within that frame of mind what I was doing to my reputation. I couldn't see what I was doing to other people around me. And so let's be brutally honest with ourselves about that. The fun that I perceived at the time that was going on in my warped world was impinging on other people around me in a way that I really didn't want. I wouldn't want if I'd been able to see it clearly, and if I'd been able to see it and be honest with myself. So the memory of those occasions is now clear in my mind, as I encourage it to be clear in your mind. Who were you? Who are you when you're really that person? Imagine other people looking in. You would have seen, we've all seen that drunk person floundering around, laughing too loudly, and you looking at them thinking, what on earth? Are you for real? It's an embarrassment. So is it fun to consider yourself as that person and to lose the respect of family and friends around you? It's not necessary. Is it fun to fall over, black out, and say and do things that we would never do when we're sober? Did you have fun? Is that drinker having fun at 4 o'clock the next morning? Because this is what we don't see. This is the silent undercurrent for millions and millions of people this Christmas. They're going to be feeling like you felt before you entered this program. They're going to be struggling and suffering, largely in silence. Because did you have fun that next day? Waking up, facing another day of Christmas, facing another day feeling generally under par. And the only thing that almost got you to feeling good was having another drink. That is not the way to live. That is not the way to experience life. It is not the way to enjoy living. A party is a few hours of your life. We live a 24-hour existence, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate. Now I don't drink anymore. It's a whole 24 hours. The time of a party is the time of the morning from 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock, when I used to be crawling out of bed, feeling horrendous. Now I'm up and I've got 3 hours of great life when I can do what I like. bit of time to myself before the rest of the house wakes up. Beautiful, wonderful time that I didn't have before. So is the drinker having more fun? I don't think so. I don't think so. So I'm missing out. You may be thinking to yourself, change your mindset. You are missing out. You're missing out on the hangovers, the guilt, the remorse. I used to wake up. I didn't even know there was such a thing as drinker's remorse. I used to wake up feeling so full of self-hatred, for being that person who went to the party and I just felt I had to have the drink to be normal. I had to drink to enjoy myself. And so I'm going to tell you in a minute about what my experience of parties is now. But just to finish going through this, you're missing out on that feeling of agitation, of stress. You're missing out on avoidable arguments. I mean, seriously, I don't know if you've had arguments as a result of drinking, because they will be as a result of drinking, because that drama that comes with our lack of conscious thinking and our logical mind that just zims out the window when we've been drinking, that will be gone when you have a sober Christmas. You can watch everybody else's dramas, but there's no need to involve yourself in it. There really isn't. And even if you've got people around you who are drunk and being irritable and annoying, and I would even go as far as to say unmanageable, you can manage that when you are the one who is sober. And, my friend, you will always know, and this is such an important thing to me, you will always know that you can't be manipulated by anybody. You can't be manipulated by a partner who's drunk or drinking. You can't be manipulated by a friend at a party into engaging into a drunken discussion when you are sober. You will know always that what you're saying, you mean to say. What you're saying is authentic. And that will give you such confidence to navigate all events. Just that calm. Let it sit with you a moment. That imagine that you will always know that what you say is what you mean to say. And that confidence within a relationship is so important, because I had a partner who used to manipulate what I said and did when I was drunk and use it against me. And it started to make me question a lot about myself. And all of that now has gone. I am completely confident in what I say and what I do. So this is what you're missing out on. And so really focus on that and celebrate the fact that it's gone. And this is what you're gaining. Really sit back and look and think about this. This is what you're gaining by reframing your Christmas, by really looking at the whole thing of drunken, falling about people who are drinking because of the deficit of the last drink. They're drinking to feel normal, and you have that normality within your grasp. Even if you're not 7 days, 10 days into the being alcohol free, even if you're deciding that, right, I'm going to stop in 5 days, ready for Christmas, this is what you have to look forward to. This is what you will have all around you. And so wrap yourself in these feelings and these thoughts like a really warm, cozy blanket. You will be feeling full of all of these things. Your mornings will be bright-eyed and clear. And if you haven't experienced this, then it's actually really difficult to describe. There are lots of things about my sobriety that I never thought would come my way when I was drinking. I just thought, well, I won't have a hangover anymore. Okay. And I won't have that internal wrangling anymore. Okay. All those things are really good. They are fantastic. But that feeling of being bright-eyed, I could almost find myself forgetting it because it's my life now. And I'm thinking, what did I actually feel like before? People come up to me saying, you look amazing. Just yesterday, I was on a course, and people there were saying, you look so fantastic. You look great. And I'm thinking, well, I just feel normal. But that air of bright-eyedness, and probably calm that I wear about me. I'm still quite bubbly, as maybe you can tell, but an inner feeling of calm and peace is just so stabilizing. I think that's the word. And it makes you resilient. And so if life is a struggle, and Christmas is maybe a struggle, just think of the resilience that will come. I promise you, it's there. Being in control of situations. So, often it falls to us, I know most of us are women, if not all, it falls to us to manage Christmas and hold everything and everybody together. And boy, can we do that much more effectively when we're not, down a bottle or two of wine and knocking back the shorts. Because we just fall apart then. We might not think we do, but we do. And so being in control of those situations is absolutely fantastic and empowering. So what about a party? It's a party coming along, and I don't know what to do, and all my friends are going to be there, and how am I going to navigate this? Well, a party will be different. It'll be different because you're not diving in wanting a drink straight away. So there are several things that you can do. One is to just prepare yourself, because it will be different and it is new. And as a new and different situation, I do understand that it can be quite daunting. I think my first couple of parties, I was quite nervous. I wasn't sure what people were going to think of me. I wasn't sure how I was going to behave, because I'd always been drunk at parties and I'd always had a drink in my hand. So I do have a drink in my hand. I make sure that I have a drink in my hand, and it's a non-alcoholic drink. I drink quite a lot of non-alcoholic drinks over the course of the evening. That might be just me. I do get a little bit nervous going into social situations. I always have done. So if that's you, then know that I'm probably one of the people who find it really quite hard going into social situations. I'm an introvert, which means I get my energy from being alone. I don't get my energy from being around other people. So I find big social events sap my energy. Now, if you're a person who thrives on being around other people, you're going to find it easier than I did. But if you're not, if you're an introvert like me, then rest assured that that's where I'm at. I'm not somebody who naturally gets their energy from other people. So maybe I found it more difficult. A certain level of social anxiety. I used to have a massive, massive glass of wine or two before even going into a social situation. But again, all of the reasons for that I've just described. The reason for that is because if I didn't drink in the first place, I would feel less anxious about a social situation. And there's also something significant about this, and that is that I became aware that because since the age of, since my early 20s, I don't think I'd ever gone into a social situation without drinking. Even if I was driving, which was very, very rare, because I'd do anything possible to avoid that situation. I'd pay £70, $100 on a taxi to get home just so that I didn't have to be that person. But it meant that I'd never actually navigated a social situation sober. I'd never actually dealt with that social anxiety and actually felt it properly, because what I've now learned is actually it's really not that bad. The thought of it, I think, was far, far worse than the reality, because I was relying on myself getting through that social situation, whereas in fact there are all those other people there as well. So all those different personalities, all those friends who, a legitimate friend is a legitimate friend. If it's just a booze partner, then they're not a proper friend in the first place. And in time you may find yourself ditching them and getting some new friends. who you haven't just gravitated around because of alcohol, because there were those people in my life as well, and there may be for you. And, you know, there's plenty of new friends and old friends to cherish as well. So just a few things to think about there. So the party will be different, but remember, this is a whole life. It's a 24-hour life. So there are many, many things that you can do to help you navigate the party. So I'm going to come on to prepare in a minute, which may be slightly backwards. But something to be aware of is that some parties and some people are just boring. They really are. And so sober parties, boring parties, are actually pretty tricky. There's no getting away from that. But you can just be there sober and think about something else. Think about tomorrow, plan what you're going to do. Be really glad you're not one of these people who are at a boring party numbing it out with alcohol, because they've got two bad things going on. Firstly, they're at a boring party with boring people, but then they're going to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning feeling awful. They may well end up getting into an argument with their partner or somebody at the party. Why? If it's boring, you know, there are things that are boring. I find doing housework pretty boring. So just get through it and move on. It doesn't have to be the event of a lifetime. It really doesn't. Because tomorrow you've got wonderful things to look forward to. And you will be there, clear, crisp, and on it, my friend. Yeah, you've got this. So some parties are just boring. And if they're not boring, then they're entertaining because of the ambience. Soak it up. Just listen to the crazy Christmas music and look at somebody else's Christmas decorations if it's a house party, or if you're in a bar, then just look around and think, oh, isn't this warm and inviting? And really take it in. Take all of it in, because you won't be numbing it out and you can live in the present moment. And what you will find when you wake up bright and brimming and enthusiastic the next day is that the memory of that party will be crisp, clear, and just different. And that's something else that you won't be able to factor in if you've not done this before. And also the memory of the Christmas that you're going to navigate sober will be all of those things as well. You can be present in the moment for that really annoying old auntie who's coming to Christmas dinner. Just think about that person. Maybe they're lonely, maybe they're sad, maybe they've got issues. Why not give yourself fully to that person? And I'm jumping ahead of myself here because I'm talking about Christmas Day. But what about the party? Maybe there's somebody there who's vulnerable. Look out for them. Why not give of yourself to other people? Because in doing that, you will get back in spades. I think that means a lot. So enjoy the people who are there. When you're talking to somebody, give them your undivided 100% attention. Focus on them in the space and in the time. Look at them, listen to them, fully engage with them. And you can do that in a way that a drinker can't, because you will be 100% on what's going on between the two of you, the three of you, however many, and you won't be focusing on the drink. Where's my next drink coming from? Where am I going to get my alcohol from? You won't be feeling jittery and all of that. You won't be. Focus on the moment and the present and the people. If you're eating something, then taste the food. Really taste it. Take your time. I used to go to parties where there were food and I barely ever eat. And if I did, I wouldn't eat barely anything because I was too busy drinking. I was too busy wandering around, filling up my glass, jumping from person to person and not really having any proper decent conversations. And certainly further on into the night, there would probably become a point where I couldn't remember anything after that, and I'd have hundreds of conversations that I wouldn't even remember. Goodness knows what I said. A load of rubbish. Normally trying to put the world to rights and everybody in it, which I think people found thoroughly annoying. Be a good listener. Be present is my biggest piece of advice to you. Look around, observe. I don't want to encourage you to feel sorry for other drinkers, because that elevates you in a position of kind of power. But if that helps, then go ahead and do it. just think, thank goodness that's not me. You know, and be really proud about that. So prepare as well. So you may be thinking about, what do I drink? What do I drink? Well, in the early days, I used to, and it's when I was a drinker, going out on a sober break. You know, I used to do dry January and stuff like that. I just drink Diet Coke all the time and get really, really fed up with it. And I think because of that, and the reason for that was because I had no real intent to explore any kind of sober life. There was no discovery. It was just a white knuckle, get through this, prove I don't have a problem, ride. And so when I really decided that my drinking life had to stop, you know, / change / be completely different, otherwise I was going to continue to repeat everything I'd always, you know, done. Excuse me a moment. When I decided that, I actually became a bit annoyed if there weren't any decent non-alcoholic drinks. And I've actually discovered that, I think certainly within the last couple of years, there are loads of really nice alcoholic, non-alcoholic drinks around. And even in the worst kind of bar, there's normally something that you can, you know, find to drink. So if you're going to, this is if you're really, really, really worried about it, and it's not anything I've needed to do, but you can ring ahead to the venue and ask, what non-alcoholic drinks do they have? So if you're going to a works Christmas party and you know it's at a hotel or a bar or wherever, or you've got out with friends, then ask what is available. Normally I'm up on tiptoes at the bar looking down into the fridge down below, but I'll just say, what non-alcoholic drinks have you got? Anything else? Can you do me anything nice? That sounds really boring. Have you got anything better? My fail-safes are slimline tonic, ginger beer, ginger ale. They've got a bit of something about them. A soda and lime if there's nothing else. But I often find there are some really nice drinks with elderflower or rose lemonade. And I've also discovered drinks like Seedlip, which is, doing a bit of advertising here. There are drinks available. And so just explore. Why not make that part of it? Just try and find the nicest, most interesting combination of stuff that you can find. I find people often come up and look at my drink. Ooh, what have you got? That looks really nice. Is that really non-alcoholic? Yeah, have a taste. And if you really need to, you can also find non-alcoholic lagers and things like that. As a rule, I would discourage trying to just replace, because there's something about replacing an alcoholic drink for a fake alcoholic drink, which is non-alcoholic, that also implies a kind of missing out type of thing, which really isn't there. But if you want to do that, if it helps you to do that, then by all means. So the other thing that I always do, just in case, and I've got some amazing friends who actually stock up their fridges with wonderful non-alcoholic drinks because they know I'm coming, which is really, really kind. I always take, I always used to take a bottle of wine or some beers or whatever. I still take a bottle of wine, but I also take a non-alcoholic beverage or two of my choice, and I really make it something nice. So I suggest you do that as well. And just because we're drinking non-alcoholic drinks, it doesn't mean that we have to behave like kids. And I used to get quite angry and sort of assert myself quite a lot in the early days. Now I just am confident with it, and you will be too, by just asking for what I want. And so I always say, and I sound like a broken record, and my partner now orders for me as well, can I have it in a wine glass, please? Or if I'm somewhere where they have gin glasses, I'll say, can I please have it in a gin glass? Or a nice glass. And I think I've only been to one bar, I can't remember where it was, but at one bar in the last 4 years where I've just been met with a look of, are you serious? What is the matter with you? Most bartenders are trained well enough to just give you what you want. And it's, yes, madam, would you like a slice with that? And they really make an effort. Yes, please, I would like that. I'd like a slice of orange and a slice of lemon and lime and some, make it look good, because I like to feel good about myself. I like to, I like a nice ambience, I like a nice environment, I like a nice glass. And when I stopped drinking, I actually bought myself, and it's my glass, a really, really special, beautiful glass that I have my drinks in. It's just me. So why not do that? Celebrate, make it your new routine. Buy yourself a really lovely glass and put your Christmas drinks at home in it. So be curious and know that you're not alone. My first sober Christmas was difficult, and the reason it was difficult was not because I didn't want the drink. Some of the social situations, like the ones I've described, I felt a bit awkward, but you know what? There are far worse things in life than feeling a little bit awkward. There are. Waking up the next day after having had an argument, or being at a party and not remembering it halfway through, or just, even if you only had a few drinks, went home and just feel bleh. Feeling a little awkward is fine. But you're not alone. So my first Christmas was difficult, mostly because I felt really isolated. And I felt really isolated because there was nothing like this, what I'm giving you now, available for me. I didn't know that it was okay to feel a little isolated. I didn't know that what I could do was focus on tomorrow. I didn't know that that was how other people felt. So if you're feeling like any of the things that I'm describing to you during an event, before an event, you won't be feeling it after an event. I guarantee. Nobody ever wakes up the next morning feeling sad that they weren't plastered the day before. Okay? Know that you're not alone, that I have felt, and maybe other people on the program, but certainly, thousands and thousands of other people who are doing just what you're doing have felt the same way. So think about drink in the situation when you're at a party or on Christmas Day, which I'm coming on to in a minute, and think about how much of the alcohol in it is false. It's false because of the reasons the drinker is drinking and what it's really actually giving to an event. Explore what's pleasurable about the event and Christmas itself. I'm really looking forward to Christmas. I'm actually going to spend a little bit of time, more time, because I normally live my life at a rush. I'm going to spend some more time actually thinking about the food that's provided at Christmas. And I'm going to make some really nice, slightly different foods. I'm also going to focus on making some really delicious non-alcoholic mulled wine. Maybe just for me and the kids who are coming. But I'm going to do that because I know that there will be people who are drinkers who will be inquisitive and curious. So just think about other things that you can do and that are pleasurable. Think about how alcohol actually detracts from events. What difference would alcohol, in a beneficial way, really, really make to anything? Look at people who are drinking with fresh eyes. And the worst case scenario, it's only a few hours. Yeah, and I guarantee you will find good things in these events. Anyway, you will do. Just the music and whatever, just throw yourself into it. Here's something else that I realised in the early days that surprised me. If I was at a party and everybody else was getting drunk, a couple of things happened and clicked in with me. Once people around me had got to a certain level of inebriation, I just found myself starting to care so much less. And I'd actually start to behave a bit sillily myself. I'd dance more. I thought, well, nobody's looking. And there's something so freeing about being the sober person in the room when everybody else is getting drunk. They're actually really funny. I found myself laughing, but not laughing in a drunken kind of way like I would have done before. I was laughing at the absolute hilarity of it all. Here I was surrounded by people spouting rubbish, and I had my arm around this guy and we were standing there talking about how he could see through everything with his laser vision. And I was just playing along and I just found it hilarious. He didn't remember it the next day because we popped along and we had a breakfast event as well the next morning. He didn't remember any of it, but I did. And I was laughing because I was vibrant, bright and everything the next day. And he was just groaning in pain. But just throw yourself in and enjoy it. You know, we don't get out to parties that often. You know, just get yourself out there and enjoy it. Okay, so Christmas Day. First of all, you're going to be waking up without a hangover from Christmas Eve. Okay, and that may be for the first time because most people have drinks on Christmas Eve. Let's be honest. I used to wake up on Christmas Day and go, oh my goodness me. Right, I now have to put a Christmas together. Wow. Wake up without a hangover and you will feel great. Now, focus on that. Always fast forward. If in doubt, fast forward to what it's going to be like the next day if you do drink. If you do, drink on Christmas Day, you won't stop at one and it will crumble. Imagine how great you're going to feel the next day. You will do. So wake up early on Christmas Day, take a walk, have a bath, enjoy some me time, prep some vegetables, put on some music, sing a song, dance around, go outside, embrace the day, whatever, do some knitting, read a book, play your guitar. I play the guitar. I might do that this Christmas. Whatever it is that you'd like to do, just do it. And while you're peeling the vegetables or whatever else you're doing, think about the people who are going to be sitting at your table and enjoying that with you. And maybe you're spending Christmas Day alone. Maybe there are some sad times. Those sad times are there. Think about the times when things were better. Think about the times in the future that they will be again. I've had some very hard Christmases alone. And so I can empathise with that. But do you know what? Getting plastered only makes the situation worse. So plan a day with slightly different things. I'm just going to talk you through my Christmas as it was. I just want to make a note because I'm likely to forget. I want to talk about, I just want to talk about other people who might try to boycott your Christmas. Should I do that now? Yeah, let me just do that now. Otherwise I might forget. Okay, so there may be people around you and it might be loved ones who aren't happy about you having a sober Christmas because they want a drunk Christmas. Okay, and so you may be upsetting their apple cart. You might be ruining what they want to do. Okay, that I understand can be difficult. So two things here. Or there's more than one, there's more than two. First of all, that's their problem, not yours. That is the truth of the matter. You're doing something positive for your health, your life, and your future. And you have every right to do that. Nobody has a right to boycott it. Full stop. That is the truth. Secondly, by the fact of you not drinking, you're likely to be drawing attention to the fact that they're aware that somewhere, even deep down, that what you're doing is what they should be doing. Or they might think you're righteous and they might think that you're a goody two-shoes and they might think you're all of these things. But that will be because they know that somewhere deep down that what they're doing isn't right for them and isn't good for their future. So that's that as well. It also may point to the fact that they feel that they're not in control of you and you're doing something that they disapprove of. So be aware of that. Be aware of people using it against you as a kind of control mechanism. Okay, just be mindful of that. And so put your boundary, stake it in the ground and disallow that. The other thing that will happen that you will find is they may kick and scream and cause a fuss. Be calm, because you can do that because you're not drinking. And also know that it will pass. They will just get used to it. They will get used to the fact, probably pretty quickly, that you're not drinking. And they will also, over time, realise that you're happier as a result. You will be calmer. All right, you won't be dancing around for hours on end at 3 o'clock in the morning. But then you won't also be having a major row at 3:30 in the morning. And also, over time, it's highly likely that you drinking less will have an effect on their drinking. And they will also drink less. My partner certainly drinks a lot less now than he used to. And so life is again 24 hours. So you can be great the next day and loving and bright and kind. When they're feeling awful, take them a bacon butty and a nice cup of tea. It will pass. So if other people are being awkward, know that it's likely that you're reflecting back at themselves that they know they've got a problem. So stick firm, stick fast. They will adapt in time. Rest assured. So plan some different things during the day. It can be a very, very long day when all people around you do is get drunk. And I found that on my first Christmas. I just found it by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I found it a bit boring. We kind of had our food and everybody was just sitting around drinking. And I thought, oh my goodness, I need to do something else. So the second Christmas, I did sort of plan it a bit differently. We ate later. And so a nice walk out. We went out to a pub, a bar. And I didn't drink, but the atmosphere was great. Everybody was bubbly and that was just really nice. We played some games that I planned and just do other things. If you have a quiet type of Christmas, then, it may be time off work. Just enjoy the peace. Read a book, put some beautiful music on. Just enjoy the time off. Enjoy the downtime. If you're there and there are young children there, play with them. Do some games, do some stuff. Be present in the moment. If it's all crazy around you, take 5 minutes to yourself when you need it. No one's going to really notice. Take some time out. Do some breathing. Calm yourself. Feel good about yourself. Remember these words. Talk about your pride. Talk about your authenticity. It's important. Remember how well you're doing and brimming with pride. This is your first sober Christmas in maybe decades. You're doing it. Savour the food you're eating. Savour the ambience. Choose your music. Choose what's going on around you. If you're visiting other people, you can still have little bits of me time. You can fit it in on your day. Live in the moment. Time with people and family and friends is precious. If you're alone, seek out people. Enjoy your Christmas freedom because you are doing something that many, many, many others don't. Your Christmas freedom is a Christmas without the stress of alcohol, without the anxiety of alcohol ripping around your body, even if you're just a few days into this. Know it. You're free from throwing a cancer-causing, relationship-disturbing, mind-altering drug. Try saying that when you're drunk. Down your neck. You are free from that. Alcohol numbs out life. This is going to be a Christmas that you remember. And all right, there might be bits of it that are a bit awkward or boring or just difficult. But think of all the rest of it. Do you want Christmas to pass in a messy, less than special blur? No. So many arguments and things happen at Christmas. They're alcohol fueled. Hungover, struggling, worn down and worn out is not the way to a bright, vibrant Christmas. So put on your silly earrings, wear your silly hat, create some beautiful, wonderful drinks, find some friendships, enjoy the friendships you have, love your family and love your people. Be compassionate to those drunken slobs around you. Feel that inner pride and inner joy for knowing that you are discovering your first sober Christmas. And imagine how you will feel approaching the new year, knowing that you did this. Okay, my friend, you've got this. Enjoy the season. I'll dip in and out of the Facebook group. I'll support each other and know that you are not alone. You can do this. You got it. Take care.